Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Rebecca, and today's video is basically going to be another story time. Before I start, like, trigger warning, like some of the stuff that I talk about here might trigger some people, like sexual assault. I feel like it's so important to like kind of discuss past experiences to kind of like educate and help other people so that they can hopefully not get themselves into certain situations as well. Yeah, let me just get right into it. So basically, back in the day when I was about 19, I met some guy. I can't even remember how I met him now. It probably was like on the road or whatever, but yeah, I met some guy. I was going to a college in East London at the time, and he lived literally like on the same road as the college. So I remember sometimes he would like tell me to like come and meet him at his place. So I remember I went over to his place a few times, and I think like when I went over, like we didn't like, I remember I was still a virgin at the time and everything, so I hadn't, the most I'd done with a guy was like kiss. And then I remember there was one occasion, and he lived with his mum. I can't remember if he had any siblings or anything, but I remember his mum would be there sometimes. And one thing I noticed is that he would be really rude to his mum, and like coming from like an African background, like it's like forbidden to like speak to your parents like in a rude way. Like you just don't disrespect your parents. So I remember I found that so strange that like he could speak to his mum like that and get away with it. Yeah, I remember like the more and more that I met up with him, he like had like aggressive tendencies. Like he got really like upset really quickly. Like let's say if like I didn't allow him to like touch me in a certain way, and like he just used to be really rude. But I kind of just dismissed it. Then so on this one occasion I went over to his place and we were chilling or whatever, kissing, and then he started to kind of like put his hands like obviously towards like downstairs. And I remember like I was basically like nudging him to like stop and just saying to him like no, like, because obviously I hadn't done anything, like I hadn't gone further than kissing before, so obviously this was just new to me and I just wasn't ready for that. And he proceeded to just do it anyway, so basically forcefully did it. And then I remember when I left, and then I just thought to myself, I'm not ever gonna like go and see him again, because it just made me feel really uncomfortable. So I think a few weeks or whatever must have gone past, and I had a conversation with him on the phone. He, like, I don't know why we got into it. I think he might have been asking me to come and see him or whatever, and I was saying no. And then he didn't like the fact that I was saying no. So we got into like an argument where he was so like aggressive and stuff. He didn't like the fact that I was speaking to him like that. So he said, oh, watch, I'm gonna come and get you. Like, I'm gonna come to your house. I was like, oh, come on then. He didn't know where I lived. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. So anyway, I got a phone call about 7:30 that like later on in the evening, and he was just like, come outside, I'm downstairs. So I was just thinking, no, he must be like chatting rubbish, because this guy doesn't know where I live. So I've looked outside my bedroom window, because I can see like the main road from my mum's house, and he was actually outside. So I was just like, oh my gosh, how has this guy found out like where I live? So I've gone downstairs, and there's like a car full of like guys in the back. He's like standing outside my front door, and then I can see someone that I used to be friends with at the time, a girl that I used to be friends with, and she lived like not too far from me, like literally like a 1-minute walk. She was basically in the back seat, and she just looked terrified. So I'm guessing they must have obviously forced her to tell them where I lived. I was literally just looking at him like, what are you doing outside my house? And he looked so scary. Like, he was literally going off at me, screaming, shouting, saying, don't ever speak to me like that again. Who do you think you are? Just doing the most. He just carried on shouting at me. He was just being so aggressive. And then after, he was like, to the point where I actually apologized. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, it was just a joke. I didn't mean to speak to you like that. And then he was just like, anyway, make sure you come and see me tomorrow. And I was just like, obviously I played along with it so that he would leave my house. Then I remember like the next day, like my friend, the girl that I used to be friends with, she was so apologetic, and she was just like, I'm so sorry, like they forced me to like show them where you lived and stuff. I didn't want to. And like her boyfriend was friends with this guy, and her boyfriend used to like batter her, beat her up, everything. So like, I wasn't surprised, to be fair, that like they were friends, but I didn't obviously know all of this beforehand. And then she started telling me that how apparently he's got a girlfriend, and I'm not sure if she also said he had like a baby on the way, but she was like, he beats up his girlfriend and everything. I'm surprised he didn't hit you, like that's what he normally does. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this guy is so toxic. And yeah, so like I can't remember what happened, but I don't know if I blocked him, because I can't remember if like our phones would block people back in the day. But I just remember I cut myself away from him, and I said I would never ever see him again, because like, no, he was just way too much. And I think I bumped into him like years later on the bus, and like he said hello to me, and I kind of just like moved away from him. When I spoke to my friend about it, like I actually realized that, oh my gosh, that was actually such a serious thing. And I feel like there's so many like young people that, not even young people, like I think anyone could get themselves in a situation where they'd be vulnerable and not know that they're actually being assaulted, and that whatever the other person is doing is wrong. And it took me years later to speak to someone to actually think that, like, to realize that like he shouldn't have done that to me. I feel like you have to look out for certain signs. So like if you start speaking to someone and then you notice that, like, especially if a guy that you're speaking to is being really rude to his mum, disrespectful, aggressive, that's not someone that you should really be dating. Because if he hasn't got any respect for his mum, how is he going to have respect for you? They start with like the mental abuse first, and then I feel like then it kind of like turns to like the physical abuse. Obviously, I know it must be so hard for people who are in that situation to get out, because obviously like sometimes it can be like years of abuse and stuff, and they get just so used to it that they don't know how to get out. But I think it's so important in the beginning to look out for the signs. So like, obviously with me, I feel like it was only until maybe a few times after meeting him that I started to notice the certain behavior. And obviously when I did try to obviously say, look, I'm not coming to meet you anymore, after what happened, that's when he obviously tried to go psycho on me and turn up at my house. So yeah, like if I carried on seeing him, God knows what he would have done to me, like, because he's clearly an abusive person. Anyone that's watching this, if you start speaking to someone and they start showing you like any type of like verbal abuse or like mental abuse, anything that you just feel like, no, this isn't something that you should be doing to me, just make sure you cut all ties, stop speaking to them. Because I really feel like it's so important to nip it in the bud in the beginning, just so that it doesn't get to the point where that you're experiencing any type of abuse. It's just crazy that people like actually do things like that. Like, it's just sick. It's sick, like, that you'd like try and like do something to someone against their will. Like, I wouldn't put myself in certain situations, just because you just never know. You just don't know how people are. I feel like it's really important to share that kind of stuff with people, because I wouldn't want anyone to go through that. So yes, I hope anyone that's watching, if you are going through any type of like abuse or anything, there's places that you can actually reach out to for support. Please talk to someone. There's someone that you can talk to that's willing to help. Don't go through it by yourself. I know it's hard when you're in that situation to like get the courage to leave, but at least speak to someone and try and get some help. So yeah, and if you feel like this story time or whatever could help someone else, please share it with whoever you feel like might be going through anything right now. And yeah, I'll see you guys again next time.